Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here, faculty and fellows, and for your generosity in sharing your diverse perspectives. The practical future that I would like to have, not just in my country, but in all other nations, is sustainable development through indigenous participation. But I am an activist first before I am a researcher. So I would like to introduce to you some of the people I met from the communities who are the very reason why I want this radical future. This is Cecilia, who came from a community called Mangyan. She gave birth to all of her 9 children at home just with the help of her husband, who is a fisherman, because the nearest hospital is 6 hours away. And these are kids we met last Christmas who said all they wanted for Christmas were candles so they can have a source of light to read storybooks at night. This is Ermin, who came from a community called Dumagat. He is a community leader who is crossing 11 rivers just to go to work every day, and he works as a local tour guide. And these are children who came from the community called Lumad. And as early as the age of 5, they already know how to do farming because their parents couldn't afford to send them to school. And they are the reason why I think that one of the most marginalized sectors in my country and in the rest of the world are indigenous people. And these are just some faces of the many of them. In the Philippines, there are 110 ethno-linguistic groups, and they compose 10% of our population. In fact, there are 17 million of them. I see this as a continuing struggle in the Philippines. You can see here the different ethno-linguistic groups, and in the colored parts of our maps are where you can find them. So they are not just in one place. They are everywhere, but they remain marginalized of the basic social services. I figured out that there's a huge disconnection of these communities to the urban society, even though we live close to them. And they have this long and hard struggle on asserting their rights on their ancestral lands and their living tradition. So for my 4 days of activist research, these are the 2 themes that came up: resistance and relocalization. And I would like to share to you 2 parts of my advocacy on indigenous people's rights. First is an issue-based one about the Kaliwa Dam, and the second one is how I would like to further elevate my passion project, which I started last year. So, the Kaliwa Dam predicament. Since the 1970s, this project has been proposed by the Philippine government to solve the water crisis that we have been having in the Philippines capital, Manila. So we have been proposing together with environmental groups and indigenous people for alternative solutions that are nature-based. But the sole solution that the government is pushing forward is the construction of the dam. So these are groups who protest every day in front of government offices and in the site where the dam is supposed to be constructed. We do campaigns online, and we have not yet reached so many people in the Philippines because in our movements, the youth has always taken the front line in everything that we are fighting for. But this is just my personal perspective on this. I think that these causes are not amplified because of the reason that we, the youth in the urban society, are disconnected from their struggle. So we don't really join them in these movements. And that's why these problems are just recurring time and again. This dam will be constructed and will submerge 3 provinces in the Philippines. It will also displace 20,000 Dumagat, including Tatay Erning, who I told you is crossing 11 rivers to go to work every day. And this will also destroy the sanctuary of over 100 species in the Philippines, including most of our endangered ones. During my first interview, I met with Green Party Jeju, and they shared with me the plight of Jeju Island and how they are fighting against the construction of the second airport, and how the island is suffering from gentrification and over-tourism. And this is something that I would like to replicate in our movement against the construction of Kaliwa Dam. They have also shared with me that this is an international call. So in their website, they have articles for different languages, and they also seek solidarity from other countries. So I would like to thank some of the fellows who shared their solidarity messages. Maybe I will just send them to you through email once I get back to the Philippines. And I am very happy to say that I have already contacted some media organizations back home, and I showed them some of these clips, and they said that they would air it on national television. So I'm really happy about that. If you would like to join, I can still film you guys, so you can get more support. I think this international call is really essential, especially when the government is threatening us to railroad the legal processes and to use his extraordinary powers just to construct the dam. So thank you to these fellows. And I also asked them to say their messages in their own languages so that it would be more representative of the nations. I also met with Korea Forest Service Restoration Department, and they shared this idea of the Green Dam. The Green Dam is essentially the forest itself, and they shared that even though we have constructed dams, these cannot be filled if we do not have forests. So in accordance to what we are fighting for in the Kaliwa Dam movement, we want to restore our forests and rehabilitate the existing water systems than just constructing destructive dams. The Green Dam also provides 15% of the overall water resource from Korea, and that much water is equal to 10 Soyang Lake, the biggest man-made lake in Korea. So the Green Dam function that forests have are essential to manage water resources, and these are more sustainable than just constructing many dams at once. And Trey even shared that here in Korea you have 34,000 dams. And I think my country wants to replicate that, but we would propose this in the movement. So for the other half of my activist research, I would like to share with you something that I just do alone since the past year. And this is with the Dumagat community who will be affected in the Kaliwa Dam construction. This is called Akyat Para sa Dumagat, which I previously shared were climbs for a cause to support the local economy of the indigenous people. So we did this from January to December 2019. And these people I'm with in this photograph, they only knew about indigenous people in the Philippines when they first climbed the mountain. So I really saw it as an epiphany to me that we really need to be proactive in integrating the urban youth to our communities. So my future plan of action to further elevate the Akyat Para sa Dumagat last year is to develop something that would be indigenous-led civic education. Because we have tried proposing to the Department of Education in my country to integrate education on indigenous people. But if the government doesn't work, then we empower and work in our communities. So I, together with some of the advocates, we plan to engage civil societies and the local government who are cooperative in this cause. We also plan to develop a comprehensive digital map on ancestral lands in the country because currently we do not have updated resources or references to track where these indigenous people live in. And we plan to integrate this civic education through dialogues in community-based tourism. I know this is still quite far-fetched from the struggles that these communities experience, but I see this project as just means to an end, or small steps we can take while we join them in this struggle. And to end, these past days here in Seoul really made me feel that my country is far left behind. But with these advocacies and initiatives that fellows shared, I thought that maybe these battles are just meant here for us to take part in. And this is the quote that I consoled myself with, that not all battles are fought for victory. Some are fought to tell the world that someone was there on the battlefield. So I'm really happy to be here with you all. Thank you.